What's going on, y'all? It is Real Labs on Real Radio. It is Thursday night. We are joined in the virtual studio with me, your host, Ken Miller. I'm also joined by Miguel Colon, Jr. Monsters in the Morning, Comedian of the Year from 2009 to 2020, because I could never remember the year.
I'll take it.
And then we also joined in the studio by the host of The Lowdown and the original OG of this show, James John is here. What's going on, James?
Oh man, you man, feeling pretty good. I ain't
Feeling
like you though. I ain't got a brand new car, but I'm
brand
doing
new
all
car,
right.
bro. I just went outside and checked to make sure it was okay. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
right.
Because I got teenagers in my neighborhood that say, y'all ain't about to
Boy,
steal my Corolla.
you live in
Yeah.
a gated community, man. You
You live in
good.
a gated community, kid.
Bruh,
You
you
got
know me, man. Come on, man. And we happen to have a guest in the virtual studio from Jerry Maguire from Mad TV, the man of a million voices. And he will be at the Orlando Improv this weekend, November 13th through the 15th. We got Aries Spears in the building. What's
all
going on,
right.
brother?
Mm.
What's happening? What's happening?
Hey, man. What's going
How
on,
y'all
man?
doing, man?
We good,
Good,
man.
man.
So, man,
I'm
what you been
good,
up to
brother.
for the past few months, man? We all been locked down. What you been up to?
I've been kind of like everybody else, fighting this bug or trying not to get caught by it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and trying to get in these jokes where I can, when I can.
Cool.
Amen.
Cool.
Amen.
Every time we interview a comedian, man, I'm a big fan of the origin story, and I always like to know how long you've been doing comedy, when you get started, and how was your first ever set on stage.
Whew.
Uh, I've been doing it for 30 years.
Woo!
I
God
started
bless.
back in, yeah, thank you. I started when I was 14, a la Dave Chappelle. And my first, and you said the last question was, what was the first
Your first
set
time on
like?
stage, man. How was it? How was it? Cause we had Lavelle Crawford. Lavelle Crawford said he murdered. He tore that thing up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, at first I tried to get in at the Improv in New York, and back then for open micers, you basically had to stand on a long line and then draw your name out of a hat. And if you
Yeah.
were picked, then you got to get up and do 5 minutes of stand up. So both my mother, my sister, and myself, we stood in line. We put our names in the hats. None of them got called, and I was feeling
Ugh.
dejected. And before I went home back to Jersey, a dude pulled my mother aside and said, there's a comedy club called Uptown Comedy Cafe up in Harlem. So rather than just go home, you might be able to go up there and do some work. So we jumped on the train, went from New York to Harlem. I got on stage. I did my 5 minutes. I did well enough to let me know that I should keep going.
Nice.
Nice.
Nice. Especially
Nice.
if you're 14. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
14, like what is
Yeah.
what did you have what were you talking about at 14?
I didn't even have material because at that point, that's too young and too inexperienced to know how to
Yeah.
formulate a joke. So
Yeah.
I just
Amen.
went on stage and I did three impressions. I did Jack Nicholson, Eddie Murphy, and James Brown doing a Pepsi commercial. Uh, and it did what it did, and the audience liked it, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna keep doing this.
Aries,
So
I've been watching you for a minute, bro, for a long time. I'm not a young man. I'm pushing 50. So I remember when you were doing Def Comedy Jam, man. How old were you when you did it?
I was 16 when I did it with
You were
Martin,
young.
and then the following
Yeah.
year I did. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was 16, and then I did Then I did Showtime at the Apollo with Sinbad the next year at 17.
Brother, that's amazing.
man,
That
you were putting and I know you said when you were 14 you got on stage, you did impressions. Like what is it somebody in your family that you started doing their voice, or was it just always celebrities? Because impressions are hard. Like I can't do a voice. If I do a Jamaican, it sound Australian. Like
Yeah.
all my impressions are Australian, bro. So like, who was your first impression that you ever did? Was it a family member? Was it a celebrity? And why impressions? Like, how did you come about thinking like this is what I want to do
Well, I,
impressions?
well, I know a lot of people want to be able to do impressions, but I always say being an impressionist is like being a singer. You have to have an ear for tone, inflection, rhythm, because everybody's voice is a note. Like when you do Shaq is all bass. As long as I dominate when I'm playing the game and I dominate, I got 28 30. I get 28
yo,
30, I'm dominating. You know what I'm saying?
yo.
Yeah.
So versus somebody who might be a higher octave like a Jay-Z. So my mother was a jazz singer, and she was like a world-renowned jazz singer. She actually used to open up and perform with Lionel Hampton. Now I know a lot of this
Wow.
young generation wouldn't know who that is, but he was truly one of the greatest jazz pioneers ever. and she actually had a photo of her singing at the White House performing in front of Reagan. So my mother's a jazz and blues singer. So growing up, I heard a lot of music growing up. But no matter how much music you hear, you still have to have the talent in you.
Yeah. You can hear music, you can't
I
sing
think
or
some of that
nothing.
was yeah.
I've seen workout equipment my whole life.
So I
and it hasn't
think
affected me.
well, that's a different thing. That's a desire.
You stupid.
You have to have a desire to want to do that.
Yeah. And I gotta shout you out, Aries, because a lot of people can do impressions. They can do it. They may be able to get it down, but it's a gift to be able to do impressions and write a joke around that. A good joke, because a lot of people just get up and just do the voice. You actually wrote good jokes around the impression. So my hat's off to you for that.
Well, here's the thing. I'm an 8 baby. I was born in 75 and coming up as an 80s baby. I came in that. Pryor was not really my era. He was my dad's era. But as a real student of the game, you got to learn about them all. So Eddie Murphy was my guy. And I, like so many people back in the 80s, studied Eddie Murphy, SNL, watched him. And that's what I took from Eddie with Delirious. Like, it's one thing to do the impression. To do the joke with it is another beast. That's why, I'm not going to throw shade on nobody. But there's a lot of guys who do impressions, but they jokes is whack. Or their jokes ain't up to par. So if you can somehow marry the two, that to me is a sign of genius.
Is there, Aries, let me ask you this. Is there an impression you worked on forever but just never could get? Just somebody you always wanted to do that you just never felt you could nail?
Obama, because I felt like to kind of have our first black president, it was my civic duty to be able to imitate him.
Right.
And I just never feel I could get him. Like, I got his cadence.
Yeah.
I know his cadence. But again, you got to marry the cadence and the voice. Sometimes people do impressions and you could tell the cadence is there, but the voice is not there, or vice versa.
Yeah.
The voice is there, but the cadence is off. And I know, Barack Obama, when I talk about my daughters, similar. I know that cadence. But I never thought I had the voice as good as I wanted to have it.
And my hat's off to you, because a lot of people wouldn't let that stop them. They would do it even though it wasn't what it needed to be. It wouldn't be, the bar was high, but they would just do it anyway.
Yeah, I don't ever like to force anything. So if I really don't feel I can do it justice, I'll leave it the hell alone. And listen, I'm envious of guys like Atheon Crockett and Jay Farrell, because Atheon's Maya Angelou is ridiculous. His Chris Rock, Jay Farrell's Will Smith, his Kevin Hart. I wish I could do those dudes. I just can't.
Got it.
Because guys, we got Aries Spears on. He will be at the Orlando Improv November 13th through the 15th. 2 shows Fridays, 2 shows Saturday, 1 show Sunday. Go to improvorlando.com for your tickets. So I'm on your Wikipedia and I'm looking at stuff. Bro, you was on Soul Train? Like, you were dancing?
Yeah,
you was dancing.
Did you do the scramble?
I hosted twice.
That's cool.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
At one point in time, Don Cornelius was getting a little too old to do it. So it started bringing in celebrities to host. So I was one of the guys that he brought in to host.
Nice.
Okay. Nice. And you were the second longest tenured actor on Mad TV. And how did Mad TV come about?
Once upon a time ago, Hollywood used to give out what was known as development deals. So if they liked you and they wanted to work with you, they would basically pay you a truckload of money to take you off the market so no one else could get you. They don't do those no more. But back then, I had come to town and I was like, I remember D.L. Hewley was doing warm-up for Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I was in the audience with the studio audience, and he recognized me because we had worked together on a couple of shows. And he said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to y'all a young man. Aries, come do 5 minutes of stand-up. So I went up, I did 5 minutes of stand-up, and I remember Will Smith was literally standing, was looking like in awe. So word had spread out throughout town. There's this hot young new kid, 16 years old, incredible comedian. And before I knew it, the first 5 years of my life in LA, I went from holding deal to holding deal to holding deal, which is to say, I never developed anything show-wise, but I would be with one holding deal with NBC, that would expire, then ABC grabbed me up, that would expire, then CS grabbed me up. So before I was 21, I had made over $1 million with nothing to show
Damn.
for it. So my last deal ended up being with Fox, and they wanted me on Mad TV season 1, but I couldn't do it because I had already was locked in contract with Aaron Spelling to do a show called Crosstown Traffic, which was Base Squad. It never really developed past the pilot. The head of Fox Network said, "Yo, I don't want you to leave the network. I want you here. So you know what? We'll just throw you on Mad TV since they wanted you anyway." And I got on season 3.
That's dope.
Nice. Like I
Wow.
said, man, we got Aries Spears here, man. Aries is at the Orlando Improv November 13th through the 15th. 2 shows. Friday, 2 shows. Saturday, 1 show. Sunday. Aries, we got a few minutes left, man. What you got? Anything big coming up in the future for you? I know you're back on the road. You got any TV coming up, movies, anything in the works?
I'm really pushing my podcast really hard because I'm trying to knock on Jordan's door and go, "Hey, move over." It's called Spears and Steinberg, The Jew and the Jerk. It's available on all streaming platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google Play. And I always tell people, look, man, just hit me up in my Instagram and my DMs, and I'll personally send you the links. I need that support. Download it. Check it out. It's bananas, man.
Cool. Well, hey, brother, thank you so much for being on, man.
Thank you, Aries.
I'll
Thank
come
you,
by
brother.
this weekend and check you out. Aries Spears, November 13th to the 15th, 2 shows Friday,
Well,
2 shows Saturday. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Before I go, I want to ask you, baby, because I see you sip. What you sipping on?
Crown, I do Crown Apple, but this is regular Crown tonight, brother. I'm a whiskey and cigar guy. You do
All
cigars?
right. Isn't it nice when you can work from home?
Yeah,
Amen.
man.
I
Yeah.
Yeah.
don't do cigars, but I got me some. I got me some Tito's vodka and 7-Up. Ain't it nice when you
Bruh.
can work from home?
Ooh,
Yeah,
Tito's
man.
and water
Nice.
here, Aries. I'm
Hey.
doing Tito's and water.
Well,
I ain't got nothing to drink.
I'm
I'm
by
doing
the
cocaine,
Improv
though.
this weekend. I'm gonna swing by the Improv this weekend. I have a drink with you, brother.
Thank you,
He said I'm
Aries.
doing cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you doing
bro.
okay.
Let's do it, baby.
Thank you, man.
Thanks,
Aries
Aries.
All
Spears,
love.
y'all.
Thank y'all
Hey,
for
man,
having me, man.
appreciate it. Ain't no problem, man. We're gonna go
Appreciate
to
you,
commercial
brother.
when we come back, man. We're gonna talk about celebrity birthdays and what's going on in the news. Thanks for tuning in to Real Laughs. We'll be back after commercial break.